so we're getting a bit short on time, so I'm going to introduce Bobby very quickly from Independence United. I just want to tee this up. Here's a quick one for you. It's about gamification. This is just a poster, right? But think what happens when I ask you to find Where's Wally. And this is about gamification, so I'll go back to the poster and where's Bobby? Come on, Bobby.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for having me here. It's really great to be here today. I'm having some technical issues. So I'm going to start by talking today about the one big question that I'm most asked by all of my clients, and that big question is, how do we cut through all of the noise? So, I mean, the guys before me have spoken about today, the problem with today's information fire hose. We're being shouted at from our TVs, radio, internet, everywhere. So information overload's a bit of an understatement. It's actually growing exponentially. So my name's Borys. I'm from an agency in London called Independence United. We work with lots and lots of different people across all sorts of different categories. So the reason I say this is because I'm going to talk about some stuff actually outside of the movie and cinema industry, but bear with me because hopefully it does have some relevance to what we do in cinema and movies. So we're actually discipline neutral. So by that, what I mean is that companies come to us and we help them identify what it is that they're looking to achieve. And then we don't want to be constrained by particular disciplines, and then we work with them to work out how best to achieve that. Having said that, we are very digital savvy. We're one of only 17 Facebook preferred marketing developers in the UK, for example. And what we like to do is we like to help people build brilliant businesses, and we like to do that by doing things differently. And the reason we do that is because we firmly believe that it's only when you start thinking about things differently and start doing things differently that you can actually start to get the cut through that you're after. So let's talk about gamification. It's been mentioned a couple of times already. You know, people have spoken about it. It's a bit of a buzzword. It's been bandied around, but how does it really work? And more importantly, why? Well, if we take the example of frequent flyer programs, experts say there are 10 trillion air miles sitting in accounts unused today. That's a lot of air miles. It's enough to get me to the moon and back 19.4 million times. So why are people so obsessed with air miles? Well, if we take a step back, on one side you've got what's called the social layer, so that's things like your Facebook and Twitter, and that's all about connecting people, and that layer is well established. So from there we then move on to what we call the gaming layer. Now if the social layer is all about connecting people, the gaming layer is all about using techniques to try to influence and change people's behaviour. And we call these tools and mechanics gaming dynamics, and they're used to try to influence people's behaviours. And it's actually when you start to combine the social layer with the gaming layer that you start to get something really, really powerful. So, I mean, we've done a lot of work around this area. Airlines are one of the early people to actually use gaming dynamics really well to try to influence people's behaviours. And it can work well. It can work really, really well. One watch out though is we don't do gamification by numbers. By that I mean we don't say, okay, let's stick points and everything, let's throw up a leaderboard, let's slam in some badges, and that's gamification, because it isn't. Where we've seen the best success has always been built from genuine insight and solid strategy. So cool, that's a bit of theory, but as we all know, the devil is in the detail and the doing. And also, a great idea just becomes another idea without great execution. So let's have a quick look at how you can actually apply it in the real world. So we do a lot of work with ASOS. ASOS is a big online fashion retailer, and summer was coming up. And summer means for every single fashion retailer out there that it's sale time. So we knew three things. We knew that every single person would be going into sale. We knew that everybody would be going into sale at around the same time, so that's literally within days of one another. And we knew that everyone would be shouting their bollocks off about their own sales. So how were we going to cut through all of this noise? Well, we wanted to do something differently and be a bit disruptive about it. So we started playing with lots and lots of kind of different ideas and different territories. But there was actually one observation that really stood out to us, and that was in the UK there are a couple of physical stores like Harrods and Next that managed to generate a lot of excitement about their sales. So much excitement that people were willing to camp outside their physical stores just to be one of the first ones to get in when sale doors opened. So we took that observation and we asked ourselves, how could we actually use that and supercharge it in our online resale world? So the first part of what we did was fairly simple. We created a digital queue for the ASOS sale. So that was pretty easy. You come to us, you register, and you get early access into the sale. Great. But where it got way, way cooler was that once you're in the queue, we then allowed you to elbow your way to the front of the queue by participating in a series of games and activities. So here's a short video about how it all went. Thank you. So it worked pretty well, and key to its success was actually the design of the games and activities that we put into it. They were all designed to be inherently social and encourage you to spread the word about the sale. So across 4 days, there were 750,000 invites sent out. We had a match and pairs game that featured product that was going to be in the sale. That was played 370,000 times. And we invited people to tell us what they would actually be willing to do to get to the front of the queue, and tell us via Facebook and Twitter. There were 17,000 of these sent, and they got pretty bizarre, if I'm honest with you. And then all of the people in the queue actually tweeted about the sale 35,000 times. So by us simply identifying and creating some value out of something that was happening anyway, i.e. early access into a sale, we were able to generate tons and tons of engagement, stacks of recruitment, but more importantly, we were able to deliver against the bottom line. So hopefully you can see how using this type of thinking and using these ideas, you can see how it can be applied to the movie and cinema industry very easily for things like movie openings, special events, previews and the like. So lastly, what I'm going to talk about very, very quickly is utility. So Mark touched on some of the reasons why people don't go to the cinema. Those were reasons like, I just don't have the time, or I missed it at my cinema, or something else just simply cropped up. So there's a great Janet Jackson once provoked, what have you done for me lately? When I think about utility, I always think a great example is things like Halo or Uber. So the guys behind these actually took, they identified that the process of hailing a cab was kind of a pain in the arse. So they delivered a solution that allowed you to then take out your phone, within literally 2 clicks, order a taxi to pick you up from where you were standing. That gives you real-time information about who your driver is, where they were on a map, and how long they would take to get to you. So if we use that sort of thinking and actually try to work out how we can actually kind of do a similar sort of thing to get people back into the cinemas by helping them plan their events, helping them and actually giving them the utility, because if we give them utility, that's where we can really start to add value and hopefully get people back into the cinemas and back into the cinemas more frequently. So we do a lot of work around this area, and there is some interesting stuff going on at the moment. These are just 2 examples I thought that were worth mentioning. Number one is the Facebook's new improved timeline. So it's improved, it looks better, but more importantly, the movie collections feature is vastly improved. So if you go to my public timeline today, you can see all of the movies that I've liked, all of the movies that I've said that I've watched, and really importantly for us, all of the movies that I've said I wanted to watch. And that's been pulled through directly from Facebook and things like Rotten Tomatoes, etc., and it touches on some of the stuff that Borys was talking about. So this is my intent, and this can actually be capitalised on today. It's just there aren't that many people doing it. And then secondly, there are things starting to appear like Movie Clock. So Movie Clock it's an iPhone app that allows you to find movie information and watch trailers. Great, there's not that much about that. But what it then allows me to do is to actually set countdowns to the movies that I want to watch. And then even add those as events to my calendar so that I will know when it's happening. So as I say, we're doing a lot of work around this area, and I'm not using this as the perfect example. I mean, personally, I think a lot more can be done with it. But what it does do is it highlights some of the interesting stuff that's happening and gives you an idea and an indication as to where the stuff can go. So very quickly, I hope that was interesting and somewhat useful. Just wanted to leave you with 3 thoughts. Number 1, have a think about what you're doing today or what you've got coming down the track, and ask yourself, where's the hidden value in what you're doing? Number 2, is there a different, more fun, more engaging way to ask people to do what you want them to do? And thirdly, I mean, the ASOS example was campaign-based, but it's equally, if not more important, to your ongoing and everyday business. So just have a think about how by doing things differently, you could actually benefit your ongoing business on an everyday basis. Thank you very much.
Right, I think we're out of time, so I just want to say thank you very much to the presenters. They're very forward-thinking people, Borys, Bobby, and Marieke. I hope we showed you something a little bit today that get you thinking in a different way. We could have spent a lot longer on this, and if you want more information, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much indeed.